The first month of the season has come to an end, so it is time for the April recap here in the Atlanta Braves franchise. You can see the record on the screen is 17-11, and if you're real good at math, you can actually count up and see that the games in April didn't actually add up to 17-11, and that is because I accidentally simmed, I think it was 2 or 3 games into May, because it was a couple days before I played the last game I did in April, and then the first game I did in May, and I just completely spaced out and forgot to record the April recap. So basically what I did was I just played, and luckily the game in May that I played wasn't like midway through the month. It was like the second or third game of the month, like the second or third day of the month. So luckily that was the issue, and I could just go back and record. So we are 17-11 right now. That's not the record at the end of April, but we are 17-11, which is good enough for first place in the National League East. The Nationals are half a game behind us, but I mean, it's April. You're not going to get some huge lead on the division in April. And so far in the season, with the way they're playing, I'm pretty impressed with how everything's going. Everything's pretty much coming together. There's a couple guys who I wish would pick things up, who we'll get into a bit later, but, I mean, I'm confident they will pick things up, and for the most part, the team is just pretty much playing really well, and if they keep playing like this all season long, especially into the trade deadline, I wouldn't be surprised to see us pick up like a big bat at the deadline or something and try to make a run for it, because this team definitely has the prospects to spare. You'll see throughout the season that we got even more prospects in the offseason this year, because there's always teams in the offseason that are like, I don't know, I don't want to sign that guy, I don't know why, and then he goes into free agency and it's like, oh look, an A potential or a B potential guy just sitting in free agency because some CPU team drafted him and their AI is so dumb they didn't sign them. But with that being said, let's hop into who's doing well with the Major League team. Ender Inciarte is actually second in the National League in batting average with a .369 average. He's tied for third in hits as well with 41 of those, and he has 7 stolen bases, which is tied for third in the National League. So Inciarte's definitely stepped up that area of his game, because I believe last year he finished the season with like 15 home runs, and he's already at 7 through 1 month of the season. So, I mean, hopefully he can keep that pace up, and we're a much better stolen base team than we were last season. Freddie Freeman, not off to the best of start. I mean, I'm not going to say he's not off to the best of starts. I mean, he's just not off to the start that he had last season, where it was like, oh yeah, Freddie Freeman, Giancarlo Stanton, they're the best 2 hitters in the National League until like the last month of the season. Now, the power numbers are still there because he has 9 home runs. That's second place in the National League. I'm confident the numbers will return. His average is going to kick back up. I mean, he's not hitting awful. He's hitting like 298 or something right now. So it's not like he's hitting like 230 or something. Like he's home run or strikeout guy all of a sudden. He's still hitting well. He's just not hitting 370. And then something that really surprised me and was pretty impressive was that Zach Granite, who is one of our backup outfielders, is actually tied for third with Inciarte with stolen bases for 7. He's a backup outfielder, does not play every day. He gets in there in pinch run and pinch hit situations a lot of the time. And I guess he's just getting on base and swiping bags. So props to that guy, and hopefully he can get some more playing time, keep up the stolen bases. Moving on to the pitching side of things on the league leaders, Nick Vincent is tied for third in the National League in saves. That is 8 on the season so far. And then Julio Teheran is 8th in ERA with a 1.86 ERA. And now taking a look at our pitching, Julio Teheran starts things off. Obviously, he's 3-0 with a 1.86. I just said that when we were going over the league leaders. Jeremy Hellickson, he's gotten off to a pretty darn good start of 2-1 with a 3.11 ERA. He's been pretty impressive in his first month as an Atlanta Brave. Aaron Blair is definitely impressive. He was impressive last season. He's definitely keeping up that pace. He's 3-0 with a 2.52 ERA. Jaime Garcia got off to a bit of a rough start. He's 2-2 with a 5.84 ERA, but I'm confident he will be able to lower that ERA. Remember, Teheran started last season with like a 5, almost 6 ERA into like the 3rd month of the season, and then by the time the season finished, he had like a 3.2 ERA. So it's definitely possible to turn things around. First couple months of the season definitely gets inflated by like 1 or 2 starts. So we'll see how it turns out once the season ends with Jaime Garcia. And then Mike Foltynewicz, he is 1-2 with a 4.57 ERA. I mean, that's not an awful ERA for a 5th starter. I mean, you'll take that in the 5th spot, but I mean, you definitely like to see him improve. Now moving on to the bullpen, there is Kyle Crockett, who has gotten off to a bit of a shaky start in 14 2/3 innings pitched. He has a 7.36 ERA. Like I said, we're early on in the season. ERAs can get inflated. It's even worse for bullpen guys because one outing, they could give up like 2 runs, and it's just like, oh, now you have a 15 ERA. And it's pretty ridiculous for relievers, so I mean, we'll see how it goes throughout the rest of the season. I'm confident Kyle Crockett's going to be a pretty darn good member of our bullpen. Joe Biagini has gotten off to a very good start. He has 22 1/3 innings pitched with a 2.01 ERA. Tanner Scheppers is a guy who I just completely forgot to mention in the offseason video because I guess I'm dumb. I just completely forgot to include him in that, but we did sign Tanner Scheppers in the offseason to beef up the bullpen as well. He's gotten off to a very good start with a 1.20 ERA through 15 innings. The setup man, Vizcaino, is 8 1/3. He has a 3.24 ERA, and then there's Medlin, who's been off to a struggling start. Like I mentioned, we're early on. Bullpen ERA can be inflated pretty easily. I'm confident he'll turn things around, especially with only 7 innings pitched. He has a 9 ERA. Nick Vincent in 12 2/3 innings pitched. He has 8 saves and a 3.55 ERA. You definitely like to see a closer have a lower ERA than 3.55, but once again, I'm confident he'll turn things around. And even if he doesn't, we have a lot of bullpen guys who can come in there and replace him as the closer if we really need to. I'm not even thinking about that, though. I'm just throwing that out there. And then if we do need to call up some guys from AAA to be bullpen pieces, we have an abundance of guys in AAA who are MLB ready, as opposed to last year where we had half our bullpen was AAA guys. So Ian Kroll, who was in our bullpen last year, had a very rough season in AAA and MLB, but we brought him back. He's had 4 1/3 innings pitched in AAA so far. He's got a 0.00 ERA. Their numbers, these AAA guys, their numbers don't really mean much because they've even played less games in the major leagues in AAA. But I'm going to say him anyway. So Ian Kroll, lefty, he could be called up if we need a replacement. Chaz Rowe, he was in our bullpen all year last year, had a very good first half of the season, and then the second half of the season, he remembered that he was Chaz Rowe and got lit up. So 7 1/3 for him, 1.23 ERA, that is Chaz Rowe. Moving on to John Stilson, he has a 6.2 innings pitched, 11 strikeouts in those 6.2, and 1.35 ERA. He's actually serving as the AAA closer right now with his great hair. If we do need a call-up, he could also be a guy who gets called up. He was acquired in the Glenn Sparkman Toronto Blue Jays trade last year. Who, by the way, Glenn Sparkman is also in AAA. He's a starter in the rotation. Caleb Dirks is a guy who was a AA All-Star last season, and now he's on the AAA bullpen. He has 18 innings pitched. He has a 5 ERA. Once again, early on in the season, if we do need a call-up, he's a guy who could play a role. And then moving on to the position players who could be called up throughout the season, who are immediately ready and aren't guys who are prospects that we still need to do prospect profiles for. Hanser Alberto is a guy who played for the Texas Rangers. You guys remember him, he probably as the guy who replaced Adrian Beltre in the playoffs at third base, I think 2 seasons ago? I believe it was 2 seasons ago. He's a utility infield guy. He can play third, short, second, first. He's great in the field. He's got a decent contact bat. He's a guy who could come up. Taylor Motter is a guy who's been with the Rays. He's been with the Mariners. The Mariners didn't want him back, so we picked him up in the offseason. He's a utility guy, can play pretty much every position. He's a good contact power hitter. Not the best contact to power, but he's definitely got a decent amount of both. Great in the field, good speed. Definitely a guy who could be called up. Rio Ruiz is a guy who I've been saying who could be called up for the past season now. He was the guy who I was always thinking about last season. He was a guy who even thought about starting at third base this year, but Adonis Garcia definitely had a good season last year, so he's gotten the nod at third base so far, and he's playing pretty well there right now as well. Rio Ruiz, he's a third baseman slash first baseman, decent contact, decent power, great in the field. He's an option as well. Wilfredo Tovar is a guy who was with the Cardinals last season. Insanely good contact bat. He can play shortstop, second base, probably more sorts. His arm is more suited to be a second baseman or a shortstop, but his reaction and fielding is more suited to be a second baseman, if that's even possible. I mean, you still need to be a good fielder at second base, but I mean, I would say his fielding is more appropriate to be a first baseman, but his arm is more appropriate to be a shortstop or third baseman, but his bat is more appropriate to be like a shortstop or second baseman because he has no power but great contact. So this guy's all over the place, but he's definitely got that great contact bat, good arm, just shitty in the field. He's a possibility as well. And then Jacob May is an interesting guy. He's not going to hit for a lot of average, but he is a guy who is insanely good in the field. He's a potential gold glover at an outfield position. He has great speed, can swipe a lot of bases. He's got decent contact. He's got decent bunt, so he can bunt the ball around. He can slap the ball around. He's not going to hit home runs, obviously. He's not going to hit for a 330 average either, even like a 290. But he is a guy who is a possible call-up. And I've actually been thinking about calling him up in the month of May because Teoscar Hernandez is a guy who's a B potential. He's just kind of sitting on our bench. Granite's performing very well as an outfielder, so he could be the fourth outfielder. Kemp is obviously in right, Valencia's in left, and then Inciarte's in center. None of those guys are being benched, so Hernandez is kind of stuck in like a little situation where he doesn't really have a place to play, and we could send Teoscar Hernandez down to AAA so he gets playing time, continues developing, and then maybe next season or later on in the year, if we need a guy, he could be called up. Because right now, he's just kind of hitting poorly and not getting any playing time on the bench, so I'm thinking about sending him down to AAA, having Jacob May as another outfielder on the Major League roster, and just letting Teoscar rake in AAA and keep developing. But with that being said, that's going to wrap things up here for this edition of the Atlanta Braves franchise. This is the April recap heading into the month of May. I've been your host, Jerseyborn, and I'm saying goodbye.
And is it really my fault? I get a shiver when I see you with those other guys.